All right, so today we are talking about the big silent killer in entrepreneurship, otherwise known as the comfort zone. So, the comfort zone is scary. The comfort zone is the silent killer of all entrepreneurs, in my opinion. It is what will ruin your life if you let it. And a lot of people don't realize that the comfort zone exists in all areas of life. So, you could be just starting in business, or you could just be starting in life, really, trying to get things together, going to the gym and whatnot. And it's really easy to get into the comfort zone at that level. It's also very easy to get in the comfort zone when you're absolutely crushing it in life, like making a bunch of money, your health is on point, your love life is on point, spirituality is all connected. You can still get in the comfort zone at all levels, and it is the worst because it's comfortable. And that's what makes it so dangerous. And I wanted to talk about this today because it's something that I deal with over and over and over again. I remember back when I was working at Zara, I was in the comfort zone for 3 years, right? As a cashier making minimum wage, living with my parents. I was very, very deep in the comfort zone where every single day, I could get by and I could enjoy it. And that's what I did. I would go out every once in a while, party, have fun with friends, hang out. I just couldn't do a lot of the other things I wanted to do in life that would require a lot more money. And then eventually I kicked myself out of that comfort zone really hard by just quitting that job. And that solved a lot of things, to be honest. It really pushed me out of the comfort zone into the next level. And then same thing, I got stuck there for a couple years until COVID occurred. And I think COVID, in retrospect, a lot of people actually like COVID because it forced them out of their comfort zone. You had no choice but to get uncomfortable. So a lot of people leveled up during COVID time. Of course, a lot of people didn't as well too, unfortunately, but it's just the way it is. And then, after that, I got into real estate. And it was glimpses here and there because this is the first time in my life where I actually owned like a good chunk of the business I was working in. Me and my business partner, we split it. And then there was times where we'd get super uncomfortable and we'd show up at the office like 7 a.m., start the work day, keep going heavy. And then months would go by, we start making a little bit of money, we would buy ourselves some new cars. We get a Lexus, for example, a Lexus RX, if you know what that is. We both bought one. And then we got uncomfortable again, right? Because now I got to make the payment on the Lexus. That was when I started really selling houses. Like I had sucked at selling before then, but then getting that Lexus taught me, it's like, well, if you want to have a car like this, you need to be the type of person who has the skill set to at least learn how to sell real estate, right? So I did that. And then we kept growing, and then I got comfortable again. You know what? I said, let's level up again, right? Let's get the Tesla Model 3. So I got the Tesla Model 3. I started really like taking care of my health a little bit more at that point. And of course, this whole period, I'm taking care of my love life. That's something that I've always done my best to. Rest assured, things keep going and I get comfortable again. And if you're in entrepreneurship, whether you recognize it or not, this is the loop that you get stuck in. Even if you're not in entrepreneurship, this is the loop you get stuck in life, is you're just constantly getting comfortable over and over and over and over again until you purposely get yourself out of it, or your business competitors or something else like COVID, like a weird thing that occurs, forces you to get uncomfortable again. And then I met one of my mentors. I call him a mentor, even though I haven't done too much consulting with him, but I did a one-on-one with him that I got, and his name's Jeremy. And I asked him about this whole thing about building wealth. I remember I went to that one-on-one call. It was 30 minutes. And keep in mind, this guy's making, multiple 8 figures. And to me, I really looked up to him. So I was like, okay, whatever he says, I'm just going to take it to heart and do it. Because he has what I want, I'm going to take his advice. That's another thing a lot of people do wrong, is they take advice from people who don't have what they want. Side note. So I go meet up with him, and I ask him about, what do wealthy people understand that, like, I don't? Because I'm clearly not there yet. I'm not even at 7 figures yet. Why can't I get there? What is it that I don't understand about wealth? And he started talking about the comfort zone. And then more specifically, he was talking about purposeful pressure, right? Where in life, you have to think about there's a wall behind you. There's a wall and your back is against it. And in front of you, there's all the things that you want in life. And a lot of times in life, that wall behind us is so far behind us. And that's what we call the comfort zone, is that you will never have your back against that wall because there's just so much that could not go wrong. Like, if you're living a life where your mortgage is like $1,600 a month, your car payment is like $500 a month, everything else is paid off, no debt, and you're making multiple 6 figures, You are in the extreme comfort zone, because it would take a lot for things to go wrong, and it would take a very, very, very long time as well for you to be in that wrong spot in order to get out of the comfort zone, right? So what he talks about is that wealthy people will purposefully put themselves in positions of not necessarily scarcity, but pressure. I was about to say scarcity, but that's wrong. Of pressure, where they're forced to perform, to behave a certain way. And there's a limit to this. You don't ever do anything that's going to be stupid. Like if you have kids, you don't put yourself in a situation where you're going to be unhoused and they're going to get bankrupt, you're going to go bankrupt. Like, never put yourself in that position. But you put yourselves in positions where you're uncomfortable. And I've, not just Jeremy, I've had other people tell this. I've had prominent figures within real estate where I ask them about, how do you level up and start making more money? And I'll never forget seeing one happen where he told my business partner, he put his hand on his shoulder and he said, double your mortgage, right? Double your mortgage. Like, that's how you get out of this comfort zone. So I started going around, in my mid-20s, talking to a lot of these people who, and keep in mind, these people had Lamborghinis, they had multi-million-dollar homes living in West Vancouver, some of these guys living in penthouses in Miami, and I'm talking to all these people who have the things that I want, and they're telling me to do these things that, in my eyes, would be financially illiterate, right? Because I grew up with a really, really financially literate father, and he taught me a lot about money, which I'm still very grateful for this day, but it was like very, middle-class wealth tactics, like, investments, oil, RRSPs, stacking things like that here in Canada, 401ks for those in the States. Like, I learned a lot of good stuff in that realm. So having somebody tell me just go double your mortgage for the sake of doubling your mortgage was just, it didn't make any sense to me, but now I get it. I completely get it. It's because if you're an entrepreneur and you actually control how much money you make, these are the things that you do to put pressure on yourself. Because at the end of the day, keep in mind that you're only human. There's only so much work you're going to do in a day, or how much stress you're going to tolerate in your life, before it just doesn't become worth it anymore. And your brain really will work against you and say, what's the point? If I'm already making, and here's the funny thing, I'm telling you from experience, you can get comfortable making really, really what society would call high amounts of money. I mean, like making multiple 6 figures a month, right? And still feeling like comfortable after that. Comfortable to the point where it's like, I'm just gonna go play video games, I'll go out and have a drink with the friends, and then you can go back to just doping around and still making 6 figures a month, month after month after month after month, right? It's been done, okay? And then it can happen at the millions too, right? It can happen at the millions. It'll keep happening because the comfort zone is the ultimate enemy. And you will always get comfortable because that's what your human brain wants. Your human brain does not want to be happy. Your soul, everything that you crave, everything about you as a human, right? Intrinsically, that person inside this body wants to be happy. They want to fulfill the health. They want to fulfill the wealth. They want to fulfill the spirituality. They want to feel the love. All these things that we do, not to survive, but it's why we stay alive, right? Like, that's a quote from the Dead Poet Societies. All these other things are great about life, right? Like surviving, making money, it's great, but love, right? Spirituality, these are the things that we stay alive for. And if you want to do these things, you can't let yourself get comfortable, because comfort doesn't care about that. Comfort doesn't care about, what you find meaning in staying alive for. It's thinking about survival. And there's a really big difference, in my mind at least, between survival and staying alive. Staying alive is just, holy, Edmonton drivers, man, crazy. Staying alive is just, like, anyways, I got caught off guard there, man. Some people here in driving in Edmonton, absolutely ridiculous. I don't know what's going on. People taking their weird habits from Ontario and BC. No, weird. Anyways, that's the comfort zone, to be honest with you. It's the worst, and I think people get, even myself to this day, this is the reason why I'm talking about it, is just as a reminder to mostly myself, but to everyone as well too that I can share this with, is that your comfort zone is the worst enemy. It'll ruin your life. It'll drag you down, and it'll do it in poison drips. It's like a little bit of video games here and there. It's a little bit of drinking here and there. It's a little bit of dozing off, leaving the office a little bit early here and there. All that shit just starts to compound. Months later, you're in the exact same spot, and you wonder why. And it's because you let the comfort zone get to you. And the big reason people get stuck in the comfort zone too, is because they're not willing to put themselves in a position that's uncomfortable. They're not willing to get a nicer car. They're not willing to retire their parents. They're not willing to level up the house or the apartment that they live in. There's so many things that they're not willing to do, which is exactly why they're stuck there. So, if you're that type of person where you've been making the same payments, right? And I'll talk about this from an entrepreneurship standpoint. Payments is a big thing, because if you're making payments, right, start increasing the payments. And a lot of people won't like this advice, but I'm not here to tell you the Dave Ramsey stuff that people want to hear. I'm here to tell you what I personally heard in the inner circles of entrepreneurs making 7, 8 figures, okay? If you want to go and level up, go increase the payment on that thing, that car, that house. Maybe do what you were doing before too, where if you're living with somebody where they used to split it, take on the whole payment, right? If you're splitting anything, take on the whole payment. You start going out to eat with friends, pay for the bill, right? Some of you are going to hear this advice and think, oh my goodness, like this is stupid, like this is not how you manage money. And look, I get it. This is a very nuanced topic, where I'm not saying go out there and bankrupt yourself or go out there and spend money on people who don't care about you. That's not what I'm saying at all, okay? I'm saying, like, maybe if you have a wife, if you have a girlfriend that you really care for, take over the payments, right? So that doesn't make you a bad person. That makes you somebody who's willing to provide more. And if you're a guy and you feel like you want to lean on that masculine edge, go provide. Take care of the people around you, right? Put yourself in positions that are going to force you to level up, because you cannot rely on your brain to do it. You and I are no different. We're humans. We have the same brain, right? It's there to make you feel comfortable. It's there to survive, and that's it. Anything else is a waste of energy. It wants to keep that excess energy to provide more survival to you. It doesn't care about your entrepreneurship goals. It doesn't care about that car. It doesn't care about where you want to travel. It's saying, stay right here, right now, because I'm safe. And if you don't believe that, you can go along with it, and then years will go by and you're in the exact same spot. And those people around you who aren't there anymore because they've leveled up is because they decided to get uncomfortable. And your route of getting uncomfortable will force you to level up in those 4 different areas I was talking about: health, wealth, love, and spirituality. A big recent one for me is I had to level up my spirituality. I had to get connected, because I was trying to take on, I was such an egomaniac. I was thinking I could handle all of this stress, all these bills, all these payments, all this impact that we're trying to make, that I could do that all myself. Huge ego that I had to really surrender and realize that I'm nobody. I'm not doing any of this. It's really the person upstairs that's doing it, right? So for me, I had to grow spiritually for me to get more uncomfortable, and in that uncomfortness, I leveled up and had a better life. So, same thing for you guys. Just don't get comfortable. If you're making good money and you're not leveling up your lifestyle, you're missing out on a tremendous opportunity to not level up your lifestyle for the sake of just leveling up your lifestyle. It's really a selfish reason for you to improve your business, because when you are forced to play a certain level, you start doing that for a little bit, and then it becomes normal. And what used to be like extreme overdrive for you, because even me now, like my cruising levels right now are what some people, especially the old me, wish I could get at, right? The old me, like 21, 22-year-old Will, like the level that I can cruise at now and like play video games and like drink and stuff and still operate a business at, like that's my cruising level. Man, like I wish I could even perform at like my highest capability of that like 2, 3, 4 years ago. And what's going to happen now is I'm going to push and level up my lifestyle, and then things are going to start getting better, and I'm going to have to really learn how to run at that pace, and then it'll become normalized again. And the moment it gets normalized, you level up. And the moment it gets normalized, you level up. And that's why there's people in Dubai who live in like places where they're paying $80,000, $130,000, $150,000 a month in rent. Because for some people, $150,000 a month in rent sounds stupid, right? Like a monthly rent of $150,000. A lot of people can't even comprehend that. But I'm telling you right now, to some people, that's nothing, right? There's levels to the game. There's levels to normalization. Just like with anything in life, there's always something that it might seem like, oh, that's very beginner, but to you, that might be the hardest thing in the world, and vice versa. And when it comes to the comfort zone, comfort will eat you alive at every chance that it gets. And you have to make sure that you don't live in it, because if you even live in it for a little bit, and I've done this multiple times, I just did this recently, if you start living in that comfort for a little bit, right? You start settling in a little bit and say, hey, this is pretty nice. Like, I can live this type of lifestyle, and I don't have to really, try too hard. I can kind of just sleep in, things like that. You start doing that, and the moment you want to get out of that uncomfort again, it becomes really, really, really hard. It's like when you're used to sleeping in and waking up at like 10 a.m. and you try to wake up at 6. No, just get used to waking up at 6, and waking up at 6 all of a sudden becomes nothing. Because people who make the most money are people who are willing to get uncomfortable. They are willing to do disproportionate things, unusual efforts that get unusual rewards, right? Everything about these highest levels of living, right? The highest levels of happiness, the highest levels of wealth, health, love, and spirituality. Everything about it is unusual. And if you're looking for some advice that sounds normal to you and you're not at that level yet, that doesn't make any logical sense. You should be looking for the advice that sounds absolutely out of this world, because if you want out of this world results compared to what you have right now, you've got to do something out of this world. And I hope that makes sense. See you in the next video.